Hey everyone! Today I want to talk about a question that I get asked a lot by my buyers, which is, I want to buy a new construction home, but I want to know how to get the best deal possible. How can I negotiate with the builder to save as much money as possible? If that sounds like something you're interested in, stick around. I'm with Fathom Realty, and I've been selling real estate in the Orlando area for 11 years. And in that amount of time, of course, I have sold my fair share of new construction. So I want to give you my inside look into how to negotiate a great deal on new construction. And when I'm talking about new construction, today what I'm talking about is an entire community that's being built by a single builder or maybe two builders. But I'm not talking about where you purchase a lot and then hire a builder, or where one builder has bought a lot and is building a one-off house. That's a different style of negotiation completely. So first of all, I'd like to address the elephant in the room, which is, why would I want to use a realtor when I'm buying new construction? So I know a lot of buyers drive around and they wind up in a new home community and they walk into the model home and there's a builder's representative there and they answer all of the buyer's questions. So why would you bring another person into this? Fair enough, but a realtor is not the same as a builder's rep. The builder's representative is representing, obviously, the builder, and a realtor will represent you. And now I know there are a lot of people out there who have bought new construction and a couple of years later the roof is leaking or something else is going wrong. And I encourage all of my buyers to do a home inspection, even on new construction, but it is a different type of home inspection. And your builder's rep, for example, is probably not going to encourage you to do that. So you do still want somebody who is representing you. I mean, obviously a realtor is going to tell you that. What else am I going to say? But it is true. Another thing is, since I have been doing this for as long as I have, I've sold plenty of new construction and I'm on a lot of builders' mailing lists, which means I periodically get emails that'll say, hey, we have a special incentive this weekend, bring your buyer by, and if they go under contract, they'll get an extra $10,000 in incentives or things like that. So we are often privy to additional incentives that you're not going to find out about unless you have somebody telling you about them. So builders, like realtors, they want to work with us. I know there is a common misconception that if you don't have a realtor, you will save money on the purchase price. And I want to kind of point out one thing that will help you understand that. So when you're buying a new home and you're using financing, an appraisal is going to be done. So if your house is $300,000 and you didn't use a realtor, this one over here is not going to be $310,000 because they did use a realtor. There wouldn't be any way to appraise it. The prices are the same, so they're not paying a commission to a realtor, but the money isn't going to go to you or come off the purchase price or anything like that. So you might as well have the representation. How do you get a great deal? So let's start with the most difficult way to get a great deal. That is if you go in and you build from the ground up. When you build from the ground up, you're going to go to the design center of your builder and sit down with them and you're going to choose your finishes. Some offer them a la carte. You know, do you want a stainless steel fridge or a black fridge? Do you want black cabinetry or do you want white cabinetry? Do you want granite? Do you want quartz? Others offer packages. So you get a level A, a level B, a level C, and there are, different prices for each one. When you build from the ground up, you're essentially paying for the privilege of making those choices. That's the most difficult way to negotiate a great deal. You can choose less expensive packages, but you're not going to get to the end of it and say, okay, our total is now $325,000. I'm going to offer you $300,000. They're not going to go for it. The price pretty much is what it is, unless you do have access to some sort of incentives, or let's say you agree to use their lender and they might pay for your closing costs, but you're going to pay their price if you're building it to your specifications. A somewhat easier way to get a good deal on a brand new home is if you're a little bit flexible and you don't maybe care about what the finishes are in the house, and then you can opt for an inventory home. And that's a home that has already been built by the builder. It already exists. and it's ready to be purchased and moved into in a typical closing period of 30 days and not the 6 to 9 months that it would take you to build a home. So if you can find a community where there are a couple of inventory homes and they've been ready for a while and they're kind of sitting there, you can very often negotiate some money off the purchase price. And that's because the builder has already invested their money into it and they need to get that money back out so they can keep building elsewhere. So if you can get an inventory home, that is a great way to get some savings. Another great way to get a home is to actually find a community where someone has built a home and then has not been able to close. And that's typically due to financing issues. So that means somebody else went to the design center and chose their finishes and then they weren't able to close. It's a terrible situation for them, but it is a great way for you to jump in and get a good deal on a home because again, the builder's money is invested in that house and they want to get their money out of it. And one of my favorite ways to purchase a home is to find a community that is on the tail end of its building and maybe the model home isn't even open anymore. There are no builder's representatives there, but they have a couple of inventory homes or maybe just one inventory home. And to find that community and negotiate a great price on their remaining inventory because that builder, if they don't have representatives there, that community is done and they need to move on to a completely different community and they are very, very motivated to get rid of that house. Another often great way to negotiate a great deal on a new home is to actually buy the model home. Sometimes you can buy it and the builder will lease it back from you until they are ready to move out of that community. Sometimes the model home is the last thing to be sold. They are not ever going to be the least expensive home in the community because they are the model home and they have all of the upgrades. But you can oftentimes negotiate a lot off of that purchase price because again, it is a home where the builder has already invested their money into it and they need to move on. Sometimes you can even negotiate a little bit of the furniture, although often the furniture is not owned by the builder, but by the company that staged the home and they may not be able to give it to you. But I did have buyers who managed to get some of the artwork that they really, really loved included in the purchase. Finally, my last bit of advice is to time when you approach the builder. If you are willing to do an inventory home and you can figure out when the builder's fiscal year ends, that is like the double whammy. So if you can figure out when the fiscal year ends, the builder is at its very, very most motivated point in the year to sell a home. So you purchase an inventory home just before the fiscal year ends and you can get all kinds of incentives. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. Please remember to subscribe and click the bell so you are notified when I put up my weekly videos. And if you have any questions about purchasing new homes, email me, text me, call me.